Good morning, everybody. I'm Bob Lyons, originally of Yankton, South Dakota, now of Cambridge, Massachusetts. It's a beautiful sunny morning and day here in Yankton, South Dakota, the territorial capital. And the Lyonses from around the world are gathering at the Black Steer Restaurant on August 10th, 1991. Our exhibit today, and the symbol bringing us together, is the meadowlark of South Dakota on the plow, which our ancestors brought here in the 1880s, and the prairie grass. We'd like to begin with an even more beautiful shot of the meadowlark. And in the stories of Tom Lyons in First Dakotans, he describes that Dakota Territory had rich memories for a child. The marvelous grass of summer, the great mirage, the northern lights, the swirling snows of winter, and the sweet song of the meadowlark. We have a giant family tree here, which we're inviting everybody to sign in, to add to, and to change as necessary. And these two people are responsible for our being here. Jeremiah Lyons, 1819 to 1894, and Ellen Whalen, 1821 to 1889, who came from County Waterford to Boston, New York, on to Chicago, Iowa, and South Dakota. They arrived in 1845, and all of us today are their descendants. We have obtained the death notice of Jeremiah Lyons, who, in the twilight of his life, retired ultimately with his family in the Lake Badus area in South Dakota. And I will read very briefly. Jeremiah Lyons, one of the oldest and most respected citizens of Lake County, died last night, February 9th, 1894. Mr. Lyons had been a sufferer for about a year and a half from an internal tumor, and his end had been expected for some time. He was a native of Ireland, came to this country in 1845 and lived in Chicago until 1868, when he moved to Cresco, Iowa. Thence he came to Lake County near Madison, South Dakota, about 7 years ago, and engaged in farming with his son William, who happened to be my grandfather. 2 years ago, it was really more like 4, his wife Ellen died. We also have various other exhibits. I was able to obtain from the Chicago Street Directory of 1857 a listing of the Jeremiah Lyons family. He is listed as a farmer in the Bridgeport section of Chicago. He lived near the Chicago stockyards, where he farmed on 40 acres, which he bought for 10 cents an acre. And when he moved, he sold it for $4 an acre when he moved on to Iowa. This is an exhibit of Richard Lyons, his oldest son, who led the immigrants from Iowa to South Dakota the first time in the 1870s and the second and definitive time in the 1880s. Richard Lyons was a leading pioneer in the state of South Dakota, served in the Constitutional Convention in Sioux Falls in 1889, and worked to bring it into the Union. He was honored last Monday night, August 5th, in Vermillion, South Dakota, where this photograph frame was presented to the city, to the mayor, and was properly hung in the city council chambers. 3 of his grandsons were present: Giles Maloney, John Maloney, and James Lyons, and I and my 3 brothers, who are his grandnephews, Pat Lyons of Yankton and Jack Lyons of Yankton. We can move along a little bit. We're happy to have discovered 30 essays written by Thomas Lyons, who was the son of Richard, and put them together in a book called First Dakotans, The Lyons Experience. And they describe the pioneering experiences of the Lyonses. Another book which will be here today, a wonderful history of the Lyons family, has been prepared by Bill McDonald, The Nunda Irish. This is the federal census of 1860, which lists Jeremiah and Ellen and all of their children living in Chicago at that time. His net worth was listed as $500, his personal worth as $50. This is the map of Ireland from which we have all come. And down here is County Waterford and the little town of Dungarvan, where both Jeremiah and Ellen lived. They witnessed food riots in September of 1845. They may have just left, so their relatives did, when the English were exporting the harvest of Irish oats. And the potato crop had failed. The people were starving. The people wanted the Irish oats, which was being exported, and 2 people were shot and killed in the streets. These are portraits of those times, which show death wagons in County Cork, 1847, when the officials went out every morning with these carts drawn by a horse to pick up all of the Irish men and women who died the night before because of starvation. This is Irish peasants loot a Galway potato store during the Great Famine, 1845 to 50, and this is from a photo collection in the New York Public Library. And finally, we have a grave rubbing of the tombstones of Jeremiah and Ellen, who are buried in St. Thomas Catholic Cemetery in Madison, South Dakota. Jeremiah Lyons died February 9, 1894, aged 75 years, and Ellen, wife of Jeremiah, died December 29, 1889. She was 68 years of age.